It's a simple fact that riding a motorcycle puts the rider at greater risk than driving a car or a truck. This channel is all about mitigating those risks with road skills and road strategies to make you a better and safer rider. Some of the risk that we take is not under our control. We've got no control over intoxicated drivers, distracted drivers, drivers with road rage, or other drivers who have little concern about anyone else other than themselves out on the road. But there is a lot that we can do to reduce the risks out on the road, and they're totally in our control. The frustrating thing as a rider coach a lot of times is to see riders who, for lack of a better way to say it, do dumb stuff on their motorcycle. So this week on MCrider, I thought we'd talk about 4 of the biggest mistakes that I see riders make, and they're totally in our control. The first mistake I see riders make that is totally in our control is not wearing protective gear. I've said this before on the channel, and I'll say it again here at the front of our discussion on protective gear. The amount of safety gear that you wear is a personal decision. I strongly believe in individual freedoms. In other words, as long as what you're doing doesn't have a direct impact on other people, within reason, you have a right to do what you think is in your best interest, even if I disagree with your choice. But while you've got the right to do as you choose, I also have the right to point out potential problems and how they can be corrected. Especially on this channel, I have the right to point out things that I think are a problem. So I think you have a right to make really bad decisions, and one of those really bad decisions is choosing to ride a motorcycle without some form of protective gear. The biggest of these is not wearing a helmet. So here are some facts related to helmet use. Helmets are estimated to be 37% effective in preventing fatal injuries for motorcycle riders and 41% for motorcycle passengers. In other words, for every 100 motorcycle riders killed in a crash while not wearing a helmet, 37 of the operators could have potentially saved their life, and 41 of the passengers out of 100 could have potentially saved their life had they been wearing a helmet. Helmets are about 67% effective at preventing brain injuries, and brain injuries are one of the most serious types of injuries that occur in a motorcycle accident, and wearing a helmet significantly reduces the risks of brain injuries. It's been estimated by the NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, that in 2016, 1,859 lives were saved because those individuals wore a helmet. In that same year, if all motorcyclists had worn a helmet, an additional 802 lives could have been saved. Wearing a helmet is common sense, but if it was really all that common, there wouldn't be stats like the ones I just quoted. Yeah, I used to work at a major airline. I commuted back and forth to work every day, wore a full-face helmet, jacket, boots, gloves. That was my normal riding gear. Sat in my cubicle at the end of my desk every day. People knew that I rode back and forth on a motorcycle because they saw me carrying that gear. One day, one of my coworkers came up laughing, and she was snickering and said, "Hey, you see that guy over there is getting ready to leave for the day? Look, he's carrying that helmet and a jacket. Do you know what he rides?" And I said, "No, I have no clue what he rides." She said, "He's on a scooter and he wears all that stuff like you out there on the road. Don't you think that's funny?" And I'm like, I don't think that's funny at all. The guy's out there with the same traffic I'm out there. In fact, I think he's probably pretty smart. So there's a misconception a lot of times on what gear should go with what style of motorcycle. I don't buy into that. Full face helmet's the most protective helmet that there is. That's what I wear. In addition to that, I wear a jacket, some kind of over the ankle shoes or boots, and gloves. But that helmet in particular is really going to save you, and it's something totally in your control that's going to have a big impact on your safety as a rider. The next safety factor totally in our control is riding sober. You know, it used to be just alcohol, but now that other drugs are legal in a lot of states like marijuana, that's also contributing to the problem. Now, remember earlier when I said I believe in individual responsibility as long as it doesn't have an impact on others? I think a lot of riders think that drinking and riding is an individual responsibility, that it doesn't really have an impact on others, but riding under the influence has a direct impact on everyone else on the road, and there is no place for it, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to step on some toes here, but I always try to tell you what I think, and I'll get under some people's skin for this. But I've been to several motorcycle dealerships on a Saturday afternoon. They'll have a ride-in, free hot dogs, a free motorcycle wash, a live band, and free beer. And I've never seen it at any other type of dealership other than a Harley-Davidson dealership in the DFW area. I'm not saying it doesn't happen at other dealers, but I'm just saying I've never seen it. And I've been to quite a few of these different events. So if you run a motorcycle dealership and you're a part of this, in my opinion, you're wrong. I don't have a problem with having a beer at the end of the day once the bike is put up and done for the day, but to have your customers ride in for free beer and ride home in the hopes that they'll buy a new motorcycle or some overpriced t-shirt is a problem, and it contributes to a rider culture that needs to be eliminated. So here are some sobering thoughts on riding under the influence. In 2019, 25% of motorcycle riders who died in traffic crashes had a blood alcohol content of 0.08% or higher. This percentage is higher than drivers of any other type of motor vehicle. To say this is not a cultural problem in the motorcycle community is to misunderstand the issue. Among the motorcycle riders killed in 2019 with BAC levels of 0.08% or higher, the highest percentage of motorcycle riders who were impaired and involved in fatal crashes were recorded during the nighttime, usually from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. and or on weekends, indicating a correlation between recreational activities involving alcohol or drug use and motorcycle crashes. So if we could eliminate this one thing, we could save countless riders from death or serious injuries, and we could save countless wives and children who have to drive to the morgue and identify a rider's body. Don't ride impaired. Another issue totally under our control is the speed that we ride at out on the road. You know, I get it. Motorcycles are fast. It's fun to get on the throttle a little as you leave the red light. But I'm a pretty conservative rider, and I can have fun rolling on the throttle and keeping it within reasonable range of the speed limit. If you've got a greater need for speed, though, you need to take it to the track. I don't care if you're on the highway or what some would consider some lightly traveled back road. The public streets are not the time or the place for high-speed riding. Just ask Yammy Noob. I saw a story recently of a rider who is local to me. I'm not going to mention his name or his YouTube channel. He is 32 years old, and he's from Justin, Texas, which is about 15 minutes from where I live. He posted a video recently on his YouTube channel of him traveling at high speeds up to 170 miles per hour from Colorado Springs to Denver, Colorado on his motorcycle. His first mistake was riding like he had a death wish. His second mistake was posting it online because there's now a warrant out for his arrest. As a fellow rider, I say good for the cops. We need more riders like this off the street before they kill someone else because of their own selfish need to ride fast. If you want to ride fast, get out on the track. There's a time and a place for it. The final mistake that riders often make that's totally under their control is maintaining a poor following distance. On average, a motorcycle traveling at a speed of 60 miles per hour needs a stopping distance of about 120 to 140 feet under ideal conditions. In contrast, a car under similar conditions typically requires 120 feet or a little bit less. However, factors such as road conditions, rider skill level, and motorcycle maintenance can play a significant difference in those actual stopping distances. This means that maintaining a safe following distance is even more critical for motorcyclists, as their stopping distance can be a little more unpredictable. Also, having a good following distance gives the rider more time to recognize the problem up the road and more space and time to maneuver around it or come to a stop if they need to. If you're worried about being rear-ended, one of the best things you can do to reduce your risk is to increase your following distance. That's going to keep you from having to stop in a hurry, which in turn is going to make it less likely for the vehicle behind you to have to stop quickly as well. So there are 4 very common mistakes that riders make that increase our risk and chance of death out on the road, and we've got no one to blame but ourselves. If you can think of other things that pose a great risk to riders and yet they're still under our control, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Till next week, guys, this is Kevin with MCrider, and I'll see you on the road. See that video on the left of the screen? YouTube hand-selected that video just for you. Click on it, find out why YouTube wants you to watch this MCrider video.